Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Sens Nation podcast. Coming at you with a summer cold today, I am. And it's a black t-shirt kind of a show today here on the Sens Nation podcast. Lots to get to today. We're going to talk about the TSN 1200 English radio rights. Travis Hamonic has re-signed, not with the Sens. Calm down. And then Brady Tkachuk, apparently a big fan of the Leafs captain. That and more coming up on the program. How are things, Greg?
I do not have a cold, Steve. I'm 100% healthy and feeling good.
Good. It's a special day.
Yes.
The Kennedy household. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. 61, Stephen. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
I don't know that I ever thought I'd get here, but I'm here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, let's get into things. One of the things that grabbed me this week was the TSN 1200 radio rights. Last week, the French radio rights that were led by play-by-play man Nick St. Pierre, good guy there, and Unique 94.5 gave way effectively to Marc Legault and 104.7 Outaouais. I don't know how many of our English listeners, primarily English listeners to this podcast, are even aware of the French radio scene over there. Probably some. But that's what happened this week in the French radio rights game. And unfortunately, Nick was asked to step aside as a result of that. So, yes, a bit of turmoil there. But immediately, the English radio rights come to mind because the Sens, they're a month away from the start of training camp, and that will also be the start of the final year of the Ottawa Senators' 12-year regional radio rights package with TSN 1200, specifically Bell Media. And I just have a hard time with all the things that have happened with the TSN radios over the last 4 years. 4 TSN radio formats have been taken down by Bell Media. I hope I'm wrong, but it sure looks to me like at the end of the next year that, and I hate to even say it because I have so many friends over there, but I really feel like TSN 1200 is probably on the way out.
And you're probably right. It's sad. It just makes you wonder how sports radio can't survive in this country, especially in some of the markets like Edmonton. Like, wow, how do you not have a sports radio station in Edmonton anymore? It's just crazy, right? There's just so much competition. Well, we're competition, right, Steve? We're competition to sports radio. If you want Sens talk, there's lots of different places you can go online through various assorted podcasts like ourselves. If you want just Red Blacks talk, I don't know of any, but I'm sure there are. There's probably Red Blacks podcasts out there. If you want PGA stuff or NFL stuff, or if you want niche one team or one sport, you can find it for, and it's a lot cheaper. This is a lot cheaper to produce than it is to maintain a radio station like it is here in Ottawa on TSN 1200. I'm afraid you're probably right. You look at the past of what's gone on with Bell Media and with their television and with their radio stations. Like, yeah, it sure looks like this is probably the end of the line coming up this season.
What I'm hearing from several sources is that Dean and Gord are being asked to stay at home to call games off the TV this year. So no travel at all for Dean and Gord, and the timing of that, I mean, we've seen it before. We saw it in COVID. The Leafs have done it for a while now, but just the fact that it's not officially announced yet, but I've heard from several sources that it is happening, that aligned with the entry to the final year of the contract is another layer that leaves you in kind of a bleak headspace about the future of TSN 1200 as a sports radio entity.
Calling games on radio. The Blue Jays still do it, Steve. I don't get it. I don't understand it. How you can call a game from a studio, you see nothing else of what's going on other than what's going on the television screen, which we all can sit at home and watch anyway. But if anything happens away from the play, you don't get it because the Dean and Gord aren't going to see it watching it on TV.
Let's move on to other things, though. Brighter things. Travis Hamonic has a new contract. That's something, right? Signed a 1-year contract with the Detroit Red Wings. And so you have I think, who have you got in Detroit now? You got Hamonic, you got Jacob Bernard-Docker. So your 6 and 7 defensemen in Ottawa last year are now probably going to be similar in Detroit for the coming season. But you've also got Alex DeBrincat there. You've got Austin Watson there. You got Cam Talbot there. So he'll be welcomed with open arms by some of his former Sens teammates. But I'm glad that he seems like a nice guy, and I'm glad. But it was just time to, as we've talked about many times, it was time for the Sens to move on and get their depth back to a place where, they could be a contender, and I think they have.
I got to look at it more from Detroit's side. I'm thinking, what are they doing? Like with all due respect to Travis Hamonic, good in the room, not so good on the ice. What are they doing signing Travis? They signed Calvin DeHaan too, I believe. They must have 8 or 9 defensemen there, and I don't know that they've got beyond 4 that should be playing a regular shift in the NHL. What are they doing signing Travis Hamonic? Can you explain it to me?
Just a depth signing. The same reason he was here last year, mentoring the young guys. And Hamonic himself, he's right when he said, you're never as good as people tell you they are, and you're never as bad as people tell you they are. And I believe that. I think that sometimes there's a momentum that gathers in the media and among the fan bases that, the Nickelback factor. I don't like Nickelback very much, but I don't understand why the whole world is just anti-Nickelback all of a sudden overnight. Yeah. But there's there's momentum when you talk about players. I feel like Jake Sanderson has got nothing but positive upward momentum when people talk about him. He's being talked about as a top 10 guy, one of the top 23 under 23 guys in the league. He's got all kinds of upward momentum, whereas Travis Hamonic became this team's Nickelback, unfortunately for him. So I think that's kind of how I look at it. I don't think he was nearly as bad as people thought. It was time to move on and upgrade. But maybe that's the state of Detroit's defense. They got I don't have their depth chart in front of me, but last time I looked at it after Mo Sider out, and who was the other guy that was pretty good? Anyway, last time I looked at it, I was like, that's not that great. So maybe Hamonic can actually help a team like that.
Oh, he will help. Like, I agree with your mentorship, a veteran presence. He'll be great in the room, leadership. It's tough to, it dents your credibility when you're speaking when you don't play. If you don't play enough or you don't play very much, it just, everybody in the back of their mind is thinking like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but you don't even play. We're not interested. So that could be a problem, and it will be even less. I would think he'll play even less in Detroit than he did here.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. Like I said, I don't love Detroit's defense, but it's possible for sure. I'll tell this story because I haven't told it in a long time, but at the start of the season last year, when I was lining up to sit down in the dressing room, sort of a longer form interview with Tyler Kleven, while I was getting my camera gear all set up for it, Travis Hamonic sits, his stall is 3 down, and I was sitting in Zub's stall. He was hurt at the time. And so I'm getting everything ready, and I'm listening. I'm overhearing Travis Hamonic's dialogue and mentorship with Tyler Kleven, and the look on Kleven's face, this look of deference, like a little kid who's listening to instructions from the boss, the guy who knows everything. It told me that Hamonic was, a bigger asset to the young group. I mean, Jake Sanderson spoke glowingly of both him and Nick Holden as guys he'd never forget in his career for the mentorship they showed. But at this stage of the game, it is what it is. He's 35, and it was time to move on, no question about that. But certainly a quality soldier as far as a person goes in that room. And this is Travis Hamonic at the end of the season. It was kind of an awkward media conference, the season end media availability, where all the defensemen came out one by one. And the forwards too, everybody did. But in the case of Hamonic, the writing was all over the wall. Sometimes that's like a metaphor, but there was literally, Hamonic is leaving, so if you have any questions for him, you might want to ask them now. Literally, the writing was on the wall. That wasn't on the wall, I'm kidding. But this was Hamonic, and this is what he had to say at the end of the season.
When I got traded here, I think it was 3.5 years ago, I think it changed the course of my career and my family's life. I mean, my kids were 2 and 3 when we got here, and they've grown up here. It's kind of what they've known, right? So I just choose to look at it as a blessing, and obviously I'm never going to play till I'm 50. At some point it will end. But being here and being a center, I think was, like every moment of my career, which the 4 teams I played on has all had something a little bit different. But I just think with how much of a community base this is and how much my family's enjoyed living here and being here, that this it is a special place. Yeah.
Whether it's in Ottawa or elsewhere, do you still want to play after this season?
Yeah, I think every guy, even when they're retired, 70 years old, still want to play, right? So I think the hunger inside of a player to play is always there, and so you always want to play. I mean, that's the thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The motivation still burns deeply. If anything, obviously I didn't play in the playoffs, and when you see the guys going out there and so charged up, it just makes you want to play. And but yeah, we'll cross all those bridges when I get there. But yeah,
Travis Hamonic in conversation with the media, and that's probably why, as people are listening to the two of us right now talking about Hamonic, why I'm kind of a softballer on this, because I watched a lot of his video in preparation for the podcast and looking back to it and seeing the person behind the player. And hearing his dialogue. It wasn't in that clip, but he also talked about, getting beat up in social media and doesn't understand why people have to go all negative and try and knock people down all the time. Doesn't really understand that, but it is what it is. So hearing that is possibly why you and I have I probably sound like the softer one. You're probably more along the line of most of the listeners right now.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my first comment here was, good in the room, not so good on the ice. I understand it from a coaching standpoint, from an organizational standpoint. It's tough, but when an asset is diminished and diminished and diminished, that it is now a negative return asset, you got to say goodbye. I mean, it's one of the crappier parts of the role of people in management and a coach, right? Telling somebody you're being sent down or you're being cut or in this case, like outright released. Sorry, we're not interested in re-signing you. It's tough, especially when like we all know, this is a quality individual. This is a good guy. This is a leader. This is a good pillar of the community, all that sort of stuff. He's the type of guy that this team so desperately needed and wanted for so long, and they got one. And unfortunately, he just can't do it, can't bring it anymore. And that's a sign of the development of the organization that, you know what, we don't need Travis Hamonic anymore. That's the plus side of it, right? The negative side of it is we don't need Travis Hamonic anymore. Kind of sucks from that sense, and I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, he's been here for 3.5 seasons. He talked about family, loved it here, and now he's making a new home in Detroit for at least a year. But when you watch the Senators, and I believe they've now become contenders in this league, I may be alone on that, maybe out an island on that, but I believe they have. And as you watch them through the coming season, as they get better and better, and young players like Jake Sanderson, or any number of defensemen, Tyler Clevin, I just mentioned him too, or even some of the forwards. I believe Travis Hamonic has had a little bit to do with, some of the things they do well now, because there's a lot to learn as a young player in this league. It's not just about pond hockey, and a guy like Hamonic, I think, has instilled a lot of that. Like the conversation I heard, Clevin was asking about boxing out in front of the net and really just getting into the tactics that Hamonic tried to use when he was boxing out and things like that. So that was one of probably hundreds of conversations like it. And so tip of the cap to Travis Hamonic on his way out the door after 3.5 years as a Senator.
Here in Canada, we don't just make lights. We craft possibility, connection, and celebration, built right here by people who care about what they're creating. At Celebrite, we're made of all the colors of the RGB rainbow, each person bringing their own brilliance. Because when we come together, we make something brighter. Celebrite.ca, proudly made in Canada.
Moving on, though. Mm-hmm. Brady Tkachuk does a lot of podcasts, got to say. Gotta get him on this one. He has yet to make his debut here on the Sens Nation podcast. Part of that is that I haven't called to actually ask for Brady Tkachuk, so maybe that would help expedite that for you, the good listener. But he made an appearance on a Leaf podcast. I'm like, what are you, Eugene Melnick over here? What's going on here? But okay, he made an appearance on a Leaf podcast. Nothing wrong with that. It was the Leafs Morning Take.
I've known Austin since I think I was 14 or 15, and he's always been so good, and he's just so funny and such a great guy to be around, and it was pretty awesome for me to be able to learn from him and him as a captain and what makes kind of himself and of course one of the best players in the NHL. And I was just super impressed with how dialed in he was and so professional and how even keel he was that, it almost felt like nothing bothers him, and he just is going to go out there, lead by example with his work ethic. And I think a lot of the things that he does goes under the radar, and it's just now he's of course such an important piece for our team, but I was just very lucky to be able to learn from him as well.
Brady Tkachuk, very complimentary of the Toronto Maple Leafs captain, and that's courtesy of the Leafs Morning Take podcast. Is this an old guy take, worrying about what a guy has to say about the team that Sens fans hate more than any other by far?
Well, first of all, I guess the question was put to him not so much as being as a question being put to the captain of the Ottawa Senators about the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The question was put to him as a member of Team USA, discussing a teammate on Team USA. So maybe that's a little bit in Brady's defense. But I will say this. There was once a captain here and a captain in Toronto, and they both played on the same international team. And I don't know that the captain here would have been quite so glowing publicly talking about the captain of the Leafs, even though it was in context of how he played together with him for their national team in Sweden. I don't know that that's would have happened in the past. And I can't imagine this seeing it happen anywhere else. I can't think of a situation where the player would be that glowing about somebody in the past. Unfortunately, in today's day, Steve, we are old guys, and this is kind of becoming commonplace.
At the very least, maybe you just, downplay it a little bit. Yeah, Austin, I've known him for a long time. I'm looking forward to playing with him at the Olympics, but, rivalry first, so can't wait to battle with him this season. Something like that. Instead of going off about basically he's the greatest guy I've ever known. Anyway, maybe that's me.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe we are being a little harsh. Steve, like, you're an NFL fan, big time NFL fan. Like, at the end of a game, all the players are on the field shooting the crap with each other, right? They all shake hands. They all stick around and talk on the field after the game. The NBA, God, they're always on the court talking with each other and chit-chatting and everything. Watch anybody at first base these days in a baseball game. The conversations that first basemen have with various assorted runners through the course of a game, and even hitters talking to catchers, like it's commonplace now, except in hockey. You don't see it in hockey. At the end of the game, you go to your dressing room, we go to our dressing room. Now, what you do after that and where you go, and we now know, thanks to social media, that you all attend each other's weddings all summer, no matter what team you're on. But you don't see it publicly. You don't see it on the ice in a game or post-game like you do maybe in other sports. But you do see it in social media now. So I guess it's coming around. It's happening. It's the way it is.
No doubt. All right. A couple of things before we wrap it up today. And again, apologies for my ridiculous voice right now. Where do the Senators fall on the where do they fall on the ESPN Sports Fan Misery Index? You're dying to know because ESPN covers the NHL oh so closely. Although Greg Wyshynski usually does.
I read Wyshynski. I do read Greg Wyshynski. He's good.
Yeah, he's usually got some good stuff.
It's behind a firewall.
Who would you say it's a rating of 100 is the worst, 0 is the best. Who would you say right now has the worst misery rating in the NHL?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Really?
Well, if I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, my misery is just on length of time. Obviously, Buffalo, Detroit, the non-playoff. Buffalo's probably number one, I would guess. But
there you go.
I would think that Toronto would be pretty darn high.
No, Toronto's 12th. They're an 83, so they fared okay, but not top 10. The Buffalo Sabres were number one, and you really have to give it to the Buffalo Sabres because they are in the midst of a 14-year playoff drought. And
that's worked hard to earn this.
Yes, it's not just the longest playoff drought actively. It's the longest in the history of the National Hockey League. So they come in with a smooth 97.
Wow.
Very surprised that it doesn't kind of go in order with Detroit having the second longest, and the Sens, who just got rid of theirs, which was the third longest. Now, Columbus just sort of slides into number 2 at 92%. I guess because they've never really come close to doing anything at all. I'm not even sure they've gotten out of the second round.
No, never.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. They did win in the pseudo first round in the COVID year, right? But then lost.
That's the second round, right?
Yeah, well. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they've never gotten out of the second round. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't look that up, so we could be wrong. Feel free to correct us. SensNationHockey@Outlook.com.
Okay.
Then you got the Red Wings at 92. They are second on the list, the active list right now, missing the playoffs. I think they're at 9 now.
Mm-hmm.
Sens had it going on at 7, but they got rid of that one. Then it's Anaheim, Philly, Calgary, Jersey, the Islanders, San Jose, Minnesota, and your Toronto Maple Leafs. The least miserable teams, Florida, Tampa, and Vegas, are in a 3-way tie.
Right. That was easy.
Yeah.
Where's Ottawa?
Ottawa was 4th last.
That's good. That's very good.
No, I mean 4th.
Worst. 4th overall.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Ooh, that's not good. What number is that then? Like 90-something?
91. So.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, so they were 29th. We have the 29th most miserable fans, according to the ESPN Misery Index.
And who did this and how did they do it?
I don't know, just ESPN.
Well, I don't think that our fans are more miserable than a Minnesota Wild fan or a Winnipeg Jets fan. Like, at least Winnipeg's been okay lately, but they still can't get over the hump. That would make me miserable. If I'm in Vancouver right now, I'm not too pleased the last 2 years in Vancouver. Like, just in Canada alone, I don't think Ottawa should be that high.
I agree.
How would you like to be an Islander fan? Come on. Who did this? I don't agree with this.
ESPN, I told you.
Yeah,
ESPN. Yeah. And finally, the Senators have signed a 3-year extension with the Belleville Senators, with the city of Belleville, extending their lease. And they will continue on as the Senators' top farm club. And I think that's great from a geographical standpoint for convenience of player call-up and also for the average Ottawa fan who might want to go down and catch a game or two and see the future NHL stars. It's funny, we talked about that in the early days of this podcast. We're going to do that, and we haven't been to one Belleville game.
We haven't done it yet.
Yeah, this is the year.
It does put to bed the rumors, though, that Andlauer was going to move it to Hamilton. Right? I was out there at one time.
Yeah, I knew. I'd heard about Belleville potentially being on the move. I wasn't sure it was Hamilton per se. Man, that Hamilton combination of chess pieces, right? Because he bought Belleville in 2015. The OHL team immediately moved them to Hamilton. And at that stage of the game, that's where his loyalties lay. But now not so much because he has sold the Hamilton OHL club to Zach Hyman and his family. It's now in Brantford. And so he doesn't have that sort of Hamilton loyalty, allegiances that go back to his American Hockey League days. But I'd not heard that. I'd not heard it was specifically Hamilton. I had heard rumors that there might be a move afoot. Not saying you're wrong. I knew the rumors of a potential move were out there. And we saw Michael Andlauer back, I think it was January, talking to Claire Hanna during an intermission on one of the broadcasts. He had his 613 hat on and basically shot down the rumors. And then this week was true to his word.
It's great. It's perfect.
Yep.
Nice and close. We should get to a game this year, Steve.
I agree. And they do. They also have an option, I think, for 5 more years on top.
Oh,
but
nice.
I think they're there until 29-30 now. So good deal there. So that is.
Wait a minute. Did you do your homework?
Oh yeah, you mentioned homework. I don't even remember what it was now.
Oh, I got it right here.
Okay.
Here's your lists. The other teams that were in running or applying or looking to get an NHL expansion team at the same time as Ottawa and Tampa. Remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here you go.
I know Phoenix is there. I had Phoenix.
Yeah, you got that one right. Where did it go?
And the aforementioned Hamilton.
Hamilton, San Diego, Miami, Houston, Anaheim, there was another one, right? Did I say Milwaukee?
Milwaukee was in that one for sure.
Yeah. Milwaukee withdrew in October 1990 due to the $50 million fee.
A few of them did, I think.
Yeah. Because Chicago Blackhawks would also want money from Milwaukee, so they pulled out.
Right. Yeah, and that's happened in expansion history through the years. Like when the Islanders came in, they had to pay almost as much to the Rangers as their expansion fee was. And there might have been one or two others over the years as well. And that's why I think that, we could talk about Ottawa did everything the NHL wanted it to do, and Hamilton maybe asked for concessions or negotiations here. That may have played into it, but I think the bigger thing that played into it was the Leafs not wanting Hamilton to be infringing on their territory.
Because they're saying here that by November, all of the remaining bids had clearly identifiable problems. Hamilton still had no identified financial backer. Houston was uncertain about the fee. Miami's main financial backer backed out. Ottawa was having arena issues. Both San Diego groups were having arena problems, and Jerry Buss was undecided on Anaheim or San Diego. Seattle had concerns with the fee, and none of the prospective owners wanted to commit more than 10%. Tampa had lost most of their financial backing, and St. Petersburg wanted to play in a dome, and like most of the others, wanted to negotiate on the $50 million fee. Houston was the next one to pull out, then Seattle, then San Diego, then Anaheim. So really, when it came down to it at the end, it was Hamilton, Ottawa, Miami, Tampa, and St. Petersburg, and that was what was all left in the end. And the other guys were playing games and wanting to negotiate things, and Ottawa just kept saying, yes, 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 we'll do it. Oh, that? Yeah, no problem. Oh, yeah, we can do that, no problem. And boom, they got a team.
Yep. And, Hamilton, they had Tim Hortons money behind them. That was Ron Joyce that was part of that. And they had Cops Coliseum already built. Its issue was it didn't have any suites. Anyway, this is information that's now 35 years old. Hard to believe. It'll be 35 years. The anniversary is coming up in December of the Ottawa Senators getting their franchise. So crazy how time flies. And time has flown once again here on the program. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. Got our homework in there at the end. So that's something. Don't forget that our website is sensnationhockey.com. And if you have anything you'd like to hear us talk about here on the program, please drop us an email, sensnationpodcast@outlook.com. Or if you have any feedback for the show, that's great too. But want to buck up the engagement with the good listener, and love to hear from you. So thank you for being with us, ladies and gentlemen, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks, Greg.
Good night, sir.